Hello everyone and welcome to the channel. I'm Emmanuel, I'm an airline pilot and a member of PMDGs, well, 737 Tech Team and 777 Beta Team. So, PMDG have finally made their first announcement of the 777 that actually shows us quite a bit of a plane in form of the first look video. Original video, 2 minutes, 3 seconds, linked in the video description below. Go ahead and have a look at that, as the quality in this one is probably going to be a little bit reduced due to a compression effect and the effect of recording a recording and so on. But in this video, I'm going to go over the video with you, and I am going to show you my personal highlights of the video and a couple of additional details of some of the stuff that we can see on there that might not necessarily be as obvious. So we're going to start with the video right here, right now. And first things first, obviously, we have figured it already. It is the 777-300ER that is coming as the very first version. So excellent choice of an airplane, in my opinion. But now let's get right onto it. Having a look at the original YouTube video down here from PMDG, 9 hours up, almost 40,000 views. And I bet it's going to be at 100,000 pretty quickly. Alright, so in this video, we are just going to have a look at the first look video here. We are not going to have a look at the reveal Q&A. I am going to do a separate summary for that. It would just bust the scope of this particular video. Alright, so let's go right into it and have a look at what Robert has shown us. So recorded at the Boeing factory up here. Lovely light effect shining onto the engine, and here's the first thing that is worth talking about, and what you see over here is a so-called flaperon. Now a flaperon, as the name suggests, is a mix between a flap and an aileron. The way this works is the flaperon does extend together with the flaps, but it supports the ailerons in inducing the roll moment, and it is quite an important tool in the 777 since it is such a huge aircraft. 350 tons do need some moving. And especially when you take the wingspan of the plane, which is almost 60 meters, into account, then you can imagine the bending moments caused by only having the ailerons on the outer part of the wing moving. For that reason, you got that flaperon here in the middle, serving to aid the actual ailerons. Alright, beautiful first look into the cockpit there. Now, I did see a couple of comments somewhere on the internet saying like the textures would be low resolution. Well, what I can tell you is the video obviously does a little bit of compression there, and inside the sim they look really beautiful. They are certainly on the level of the 737, but they even surpass it in my opinion. It's a beautiful looking cockpit. Now, this is the next important thing over here. We can see a first preview of the upcoming PMDG ground service menu that we have in the electronic flight bag now. Now, lots of people on the 737 release went like, well, but I want these menus in the EFB, and that is actually what you're getting now. And what's pretty cool there, when you have a very close look, is that you can do some individual vehicle requests there, but also just request all of them together, making it a pretty nice option to cater for the different parts. Also down here, we've got a couple of menus now, so starting with the ground connections, then over to the ground service vehicles, door management, and so on. So that's the first preview of how the EFB is going to look like. And also note that little thing on the top there saying auto cruise and showing you the simulation rate. So maybe that's a hint at one of the additional features that were previously in the FMS now being moved to the tablet. I certainly can tell you that much. It's pretty great to have these things handy right at your disposal over there. Beautiful outside shot here, but the thing that I really notice is that a couple of those vehicles shown in here don't have the PMDG paint on them. If we just go back a tiny bit, if we take a look at about here and look at the catering vehicles, you can see that they are white compared to the 737, where all those vehicles have always had the PMDG logos on them. Maybe that's a hint at something coming in the future? Beautiful looking external model of the 777. Note the APU intake over here, and if we just go back another second, you can see that the rudder is deflected to the right-hand side when the plane is, or when it is not pressurized, so when there is no hydraulic pressure. Cool little animation there, something that in the simulation world is more commonly associated with Airbus. Now, what we see next over here is the startup sequence of the displays. Just have a look at that. Pretty cool startup effect there of the entire airplane. That's a really cool thing. So first look into the business class then, and we can see a couple of details here with not only the IFE, the phone that you got over here, but we can also take a great look into some of the details like the PSUs, even though there will be a later shot that's going to show them in even greater detail. Right, services in progress there. And in this one, it's worth to have a look at the engines over there windmilling in the wind stream. And another thing worth looking at over here is the open E&E hatch that you can control in all of PMDG's aircraft. Right, beautiful model of the dirt over there, especially in the area just down here. So you can see that the flaperon is hanging down over here, and you can see that there's quite a bit of strain that's inside from water that's running along the wing and then going inside the surface on the approaches, looking pretty cool. Another nice thing here is that you can actually see the hatch of the fuel door open, and we can also see a couple of the details that we've got inside the leading edge devices over here. Really worth having a look at and watching that in full size. Now, this is the shot I meant regarding the passenger service units up there. Just a great lot of detail that we got inside here, and honestly, the lighting inside the plane is just superb, isn't it? That's a really, really good looking cabin, and the best thing of all is, on my personal beta tests, it always ran with the same frame rate as the 737, and in my opinion, the 737 was already the best running complex add-on aircraft in the entirety of Microsoft Flight Simulator, and this is really going forward with the 777 as well. Good look into the details that we got on the nose wheel over there, but what's also worth watching is the detailing on the upper part of the airplane, especially all those small dents that you got in the airframe there. That's just normal as the life cycle of a plane progresses. In the live stream, Rob said that the 777 they used was about 12 years old, so all the pressurization cycles are going to cause some slow dents, and no airframe is 100% clean anymore after a couple years in service, and that's really nicely reflected on the airframe over here. Likewise, great lot of detail that we find on the main landing gear. And this shot I just need to pause over here, because this is a shot that's going by really quickly, but there's something really nice that we can see up here. Right behind the landing gear, where the flaps are usually extended like 30 degrees down on the landing, we actually got quite a bit of dirt that's usually being sprayed up by the main landing gears, and that's visible on the flaps here really, really nicely. Alright then, another one that I want your direction to be focused on a few things. First of all, you will notice the entirety of the landing gear that's moving along while the airplane is taxiing. But then, as we enter the turn, have a good look at the boogie of the gear. So see the entire gear going a little bit up and down as we taxi? And now, we just gotta repeat that shot. Now, as we enter the turn, have a close look at the aft wheels. One of the features of the 777 when they do go into a turn to avoid the tire skidding is that they can actually turn the aft part of the boogie into the turn, and that's fully modeled over here, looking really nicely if you look closely. Alright then, and off we go. Now, again, something that's rather hard to see, but that is certainly there in this shot, is a little bit of the wobbling of the entire engine pod when takeoff thrust is set. Now this is something when I saw it for the first time in the beta that really caught my attention. The same happens in turbulence as well, by the way. When full power is set on those GE90 engines, you can see the entire engine pod that's really feeling the power that the engine brings to the airplane, and you can see that by the pod just moving a slight bit there. Likewise in turbulence. If you've ever flown on a 777 as a passenger and you went through turbulence, you really saw the entirety of the engine moving. Now, for some passengers, that's causing a little bit of discomfort, since they are usually not as aware that something as heavy as an engine like this is obviously going to have a little bit of inertia. But it is something that PMDG simulated really nicely. So take a close look again in this shot, how the engine is moving. Hard to see. I do recommend that you are going to go for the original video and have a close look into that, but really worth noting. So going back into the scene from the cockpit there, a nice view at some of the detailing that we got on the windshield and some of the detailing in the front over there, looking really, really good. And it also gives you a good idea of what the internal of the cockpit looks like. And all I can tell you is it is a beautiful cockpit when it's seen in action. Alright, landing gear coming up. Do note the strut mechanism up here. So we are just going to go back a tiny bit into that. So have a look at the strut of the landing gear up here as well as it moves in. Some really nice modeling that's done there, and overly a really gorgeous looking aircraft. So we just turned this 2-minute and 3-second video into a 12-minute video, but in my opinion there's so much in there, and I've seen quite a couple of comments of people saying like, oh, they aren't showing anything interesting there, and I couldn't disagree anymore. There are so many small details shown in there that you really need to look closely in order to see them all. But in this video, I presented you a little selection of those. There is more in there to see, and all I can tell you is take that video, replay it a couple times, and really have a look at the smaller details in order to see how much of a beauty that model actually is. Alright, gonna leave it at that one. I do hope that you have enjoyed this closer look. And with that, I'd like to say thank you very much for watching. Hope that you've enjoyed it. If you did, be sure to leave a like and a comment beneath the video. And if you're up for more, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. I will do a little summary of the reveal Q&A for you in, I don't know, maybe tomorrow, so that you don't have to watch the entire 44 minutes. But then again, it is really worth watching that live stream as well, as there's a great lot of information given in there. Alright, with that I'd like to say thank you very much, guys. See you all again on the next one. Be sure to subscribe if you're up for that summary, and if you're up for first-hand videos looking at the airplane as soon as the NDA gets lifted. In the meantime, if you really like what I'm doing, would appreciate a small donation through the Buy Me Coffee link in the video description below. Thank you so much, and see you all again on the next one.